We are back once again with another Syndicate Diaries, and as always, there's a topic to discuss. But first, let's see if we can find some fish. I'm using natural camouflage because I'm wearing a bright white t-shirt. Not only did I find the fish, but thanks to today's sponsor, HelloFresh, I've also found you 50% off your first box and 20% off your next 4 boxes, plus free desserts for life. But more on that later in the video. Now, the first thing I did, as always when I get here, is do a lap of the lake to see if I can see any fish, but also talk to any other anglers that are on at the time. Only one other angler on right now, and not much to go on from him other than he's got some fish in front of him. So it's down to me trying to find the fish myself on the rest of the lake, which is completely free. And when I got to the swim that I'm currently sat in giving you this update, I found them. It was pretty obvious. Even without Polaroids, I'd have spotted them because the watercolour was just chocolate brown. And there was a definitive line from where they were feeding to where they weren't feeding. So this was an obvious point to start. And not just this swim, but the swim next door and the swim to the left as well. All of them had signs of fish feeding. As I stood and watched, a plume of dirt came up. So obviously that's when you start getting excited, thinking there could be a quick bite here. So whipped back to the car, got my kit on the barrow and came round within the space of 10-15 minutes of having seen the fish feeding. But by the time I got back, there were no fresh plumes. It was just a remnant muddiness in the swim. But having said that, it was still the best to go on from what I'd seen anywhere else on the lake. So I got up one of my rods from the bag, just fishing with one rod, my usual setup, and lowered it in as quietly as possible, just off the rod tip really, and used my bait and spoon with a couple of scoops. Ooh, fish rolled on the island. A couple of scoops of bait on the top of it because there was nothing there. I was hoping that if they do come back, they'll be like, oh, fresh bait, fresh food, get grubbing, and that's where my hook bait's going to be. But as I'm still chatting to the camera, and it's been about 40-50 minutes since that pod's went out, you can tell that it hasn't gone off. I'm going to leave it as it is because there's still the odd activity. Just seen a fish roll on the island, another fish rolled 5 minutes ago on the island as well. So there's fish in this swim, maybe not as close as I'd like them to be. But with one rod out, I'm not putting pressure out there. I'm just hoping for an opportunist bite as a fish mills through. I'm sitting nice and far back from the bank, so I'm not being noisy. The only other thing to note is that there are hundreds, if not thousands, of tiny little fish swimming around. So whether they're part of the reason for the cloudy water, I don't know. But that's what I've got to go on right now. And it's actually similar to what I found on my last trip here on the Syndicate, which was a couple of weeks ago, in that they were feeding in these margins where no one was fishing at a certain time of day. Getting here about 10 o'clock this morning, same again. So I think that if I was here earlier, there may have been a better opportunity of catching one in the margins. So what I'm going to do, my plan of attack for the session, is leave that one rod out for the next half an hour or so. If it doesn't do anything, I might bring it in. And then I'm going to map out the swim. I have a little bit of a feel about and see where I want to fish later on. I've got a new toy with me, which is a new bait boat with a sonar. And although I've caught fish from this swim before and I've sort of had a lead about, I want to fine-tune that with the bait boat, get a bit more of an understanding of the depths and things, because I'm seeing fish mill around, so perhaps zigs might be an option as well later on. But other than that, I'm also going to put a bit of bait in the margins to the right and the left. Obviously, if someone rocks up and wants to fish there, absolutely fine. But what that means is there's going to be bait in the margins where they were clearly feeding this morning, with no lines over the top of them and no angling pressure. And if I see something later on this evening or first thing tomorrow morning, because I'll probably be up at first light and I see them feeding there, bring the rods in and go down and try and get a quick bite in that morning feeding window, which I think may happen once again, like it did this morning that I was just a bit too late to get on the receiving end of. I'm currently watching a fish swim towards me. It's back out of the water, so zigs may be the option today. So I need to find out the depths that it is out there, maybe tie out some zigs and see if that's the plan of attack. Because with temperatures looking like it's going to hit about 30 degrees today, fishing on the deck probably isn't going to be profitable until the evening onwards anyway. But I'm going to take this session nice and chill, take it all in, as I always like to do on the Syndicate sessions. It's a bit more of a me time session and lower effort, not effort, but no, maybe lower effort on the camera side of things, but slower pace, shall we say. And of course, we'll talk about the topic, which is all about self-health, taking care of yourselves on the bank and all sorts. But for now, I'm going to get myself fishing a bit more efficiently, learn more about the swim, and see if we can get some of these elusive carp on the bank. Because I'm very aware that these Syndicate Diaries have just been a lot of me chatting to camera recently. Well, today has been an absolute scorcher, and it's mainly been a case of just staying as comfortable as possible in this sort of heat. The 30 degrees we were forecast, we have certainly endured. It's starting to cool off a little bit now. It's just gone 6 o'clock, but it's still easily upper 20s. It's been pretty sticky. I got the rods out a good few hours ago now. I used the bait boat as I said I was going to use. I sort of drove it around a little bit with the Echo Finder, and pretty much exactly what I expected. Oh, it was just a liner. No need to panic. I didn't panic. Did you see me panicking? But it does show that the fish are getting a bit more active, and they have been the last hour or so. I'm getting a few liners here and there, bubbling in spots, but I'm also seeing a lot of fish just cruising along the surface. So yes, I probably should have used eggs today, but it's been so hot and stuffy, it's just knocked it out of me, and I've just laid on the bed chair and dozed. I nearly fell asleep earlier. I just listened to my body. It needed rest, so I gave it to it, which is something I'm going to talk about a bit more in a second. But bring you up to speed with the fishing side of things. As I mentioned, I've got a new toy, so I use my bait boat just to scoot around the swim whilst it is at the heat of the day and learn a bit more about it. And pretty much it's just confirmed what I already knew. The depth is regimented between 4.9 to 5.1 foot, pretty much everywhere out there. Clean pretty much everywhere as well. Obviously a bit of silt, maybe not rock solid, it's not like gravel out there. But then the margin was just over 6 foot, so a bit deeper. So the 3 rods are out. The right rod is in the right margin where I saw that feeding activity this morning, for the reason that if they come back there, I've got a represented there. A couple scoops of bait over the top of that. The middle and the left rod both went in similar areas over by the island reeds. Now, that's exactly where I caught fish from in the last time I was in this swim. So I know that I should be able to present well there. And last time I used the baiting pole, this time I'm using a bait boat. It's the same delivery really, but it's just a bit easier. So that's the reason I'm doing that. And I'm seeing fish. So hopefully something's going to happen going into the evening as the temperature starts to drop. It's been 30 degrees today, as I mentioned. It's starting to cool off a bit, but I'm still having to sit in the shade just to stay less clammy and sticky. It's been pretty hard work to stay cool today. I got a little fan which has helped out a little bit, but that brings me on to the topic for this session, which is listening to your body, staying healthy both physically and mentally. And the reason this is the topic for this session is because it came the negative side of my physical health rather recently on a video. If you haven't seen the linear video, you may not know what I'm on about, but I had an awesome session at linear B1, caught loads of fish to over 40 pound. But I was going for it. I was doing all I could. I was fishing at 100 yards, which is not a huge distance, but a lot more than what I'm used to. Lots of repeated casts and loads of spomming, putting my back under a load of stress. And before that session, my back had been telling me, take it easy. It's on the brink of going. And I've had bad back issues for 15 years now. I've had surgery on my lower back for a slip disc. So back issues is nothing new to me. And usually I start to get the signs. I've got to ease up a bit. But I ignored it. Kept going on that session. I had a great session up until the second night when my back just gave up on me. I was midway through spotting, kept twinging, saying, stop, stop. I didn't stop. And I said, fine, we're going to go on you. So I had no strength in my back. I was in awful pain. No. Ooh. Oh. Ooh. I'm not putting this on. That's how bad it is. So, my 10th fish landed was another, I know it's on the action cam, another decent 20 pound common. I'd say around the 25, 26 mark. So another 20 to add to the tally. Oh, easily. If not a bit bigger. Which is a shame, but there's absolutely no chance to be able to lift this out onto the bank without me hospitalising myself or letting the whole lake know that I'm in pain. Could barely move around on the bank. I think I had one more fish which I couldn't even get out the net. I just unhooked it, released, wound the rods in, and my friend I was fishing with at the time, Ricky Knight, gave me a hand packing down in the morning because I just could not do anything. This isn't meant to be a sob story or anything. Another beep. I'm just telling you my experiences, making this relatable from my experience of things, and a couple other things I'll touch on in a second, so that if you're having the same sort of issues like back pain, or the other things I mentioned, that you can know you're not alone. Maybe some of the things that I do now that can help you out as well. I got back from that session thinking, oh, here we go, it will ease in a few days. No, I'm nearly 3 weeks later than that session now, and my back is still giving me grief. I've got some painkillers, I'm having massages. My back is actually completely taped up at the moment from a session I had yesterday with my masseuse, which has helped massively. So I'm on the mend. But the worst thing was I couldn't even help round at the house. And I'm sure there's lots of misses maybe watching or listening to this video in the background thinking, oh, my husband's not helpful at home anyway. That's not normally the case. I try and do my bit, but I genuinely couldn't do anything. Couldn't lift up my daughter, couldn't do anything heavy lifting around the house, which was horrible because I would love to have been able to pick up my daughter, who's only a year and a half, when they come up below you and go, and you can't, it is pretty hard to watch and not be able to help out. So that's why it's come to fruition, or it's come to a head a bit more now than it ever has done before, because I'm not as young as I used to be. I'm only 31, but my body is struggling more than it used to. And I've got a lot more dependencies. So I need to keep myself in tip-top shape, basically. I also have epilepsy. Thankfully, it's under control. I'm on medication for it. But that has triggers of sleep deprivation and exhaustion and alcohol intake. So there's a couple of things that I deal with that I've got to manage when I'm on the bank. So if you're someone else that has epilepsy or a bad back or maybe anxiety, stress, or things like that, so it's not just physical things, but maybe mental things that you're struggling with, I want you guys to get involved in the comment section below on things that perhaps you struggle with and hopefully overcome. Or if you've got trouble with something, post it below, make this a safe space, and someone else might see that and think, I've got the same thing, but here's things that help me. Try and help each other out so we can all enjoy fishing in a safe way, both physically and mentally, because there's no denying that fishing is incredible for physical activity, getting you out, but also mentally it can cause just huge benefits. And I'm not someone that's suffered terribly in the past with mental health, but like everyone, you get stressed, money's tight, sort of things, and sometimes you go fishing and it just helps you to recalibrate, get yourself back in a better mental state, which is exactly what these videos are more like. Because as much as I love making the YouTube videos that I make, they're quite intense. I churn out a video every single week and try to make them the best quality possible. But when I come to the Syndicate, I slow down, I don't film as much, I rant to camera rather than getting 20 different B-roll clips which last for 10 seconds in a video. And it does me the world of good just to take things at a slower pace, enjoy myself, listen to my body, and give myself that break. So if you're someone else that struggles with bad back, here are a few things I've done which has helped, other than the other week where I ignored myself, my back. I'm not as rushed as I used to be. Now, I know that's because I've got a lot more time, and when I go to a place like this, it's not exactly busy, but I don't rush to swims. I don't do it all in one barrow load. I'll do it in a couple loads. I've got a back support for when I am doing the heavy lifting, or if I need to cast further, I tend to try and wear. There's also other things I do. Eating better. So I used to eat bacon for breakfast, the sausages or whatever, or burgers in the evening, crisps all day, sweets, and it's not good for you. Like, that's nothing new. So now when I'm on the bank, I try and eat healthy in the morning. I have porridge pot or a yogurt pot with granola type thing. My lunch is usually, it could still be a sandwich, but sometimes like a salad bowl or a rice bowl. And then the evenings, just like tonight, I've got a nice meal to cook up. I'll try and have a stir fry or something like that. Something that is not as fatty and horrible for my body. So I try and stay healthy that way. And also, I drink a lot more. I try and keep my fluids up. I used to, when I go fishing on a night, not that I don't still enjoy a drink on the bank, but I used to pick up too much drink. And that was just part of my routine of when I was going fishing. And my relax was knock a 4-pack back before having my food, and then maybe a few more after that. And that is not good for hydration and back support, let me tell you. So those are a couple of things that I've changed when it comes to my back. And also with my epilepsy, my biggest trigger is sleep deprivation and exhaustion. So I still try and get as good a night's sleep as possible, which is why I want to do a couple of nights and you don't sleep as well, I try and get some sleep in the day, just so that I know that I'm getting some rest and my body isn't as exhausted as it would be if I didn't try and get some sleep in the day. So those are some of the things that I have, that I deal with, and I'm trying to overcome. Still got to tell myself to listen to my body when it's telling me off. So what things, if you feel like saying about it, of course, do you guys struggle with, and things that have helped you, whether that's a physical issue or a mental issue? Because there's no denying that, as I said, fishing does the world of good, both physically and mentally. So if there's something that you can add in the comment section below to support other people, or maybe you've got something you're struggling with and you're looking for some advice and you feel open to do it, put it in the comment section below. Let's keep this a safe environment for other people to learn from. And that's a horsefly, get off my camera. I've already been bitten today by a mosquito. I don't get bitten again. And if you've got any advice of keeping them away, because I'm all ears, they've been pretty grim today. That's the topic for today. I hope that wasn't too much of a rant and just me waffling on. But I think it's something that needs to be addressed more regularly than it is not pushing yourself too much for the sake of catching another fish when it can be in my position, a couple of weeks, extremely detrimental to your ability to be a dad, a helpful husband, or just do anything around the house. Talking of which, I'm going to have some more drink and go and cook up a lovely meal. And that's where the sponsor of today's video, HelloFresh, comes in mega handy, because when I'm on the bank, looking after my body is just as important as the fishing itself. And using HelloFresh, it allows me to have full of flavour meals that are super easy to cook and actually good for you. Thank you, Marielle. He gets a happy dance with food. All I need is a pan, or in this case I took 2 just for ease, and I can eat like I'm at home even when I'm miles away. The ingredients come pre-portioned, so there's no waste, and they're easy to stick in your fishing bag. And the best bit, it's affordable. With my offer, meals start from just £1.62 per person, plus the service is flexible. You can pause or change your delivery address whenever you like. Smell it like that? It looks like that. It's meant to be for 2, but no one else wanted any, so I didn't eat much today anyway. So if you want to eat well while you're fishing, or just want an easier way to cook at home, give HelloFresh a go. Use my code NBF50 to get 50% off your first box and 20% off the next 4, and free desserts for life. And that's right, quality meals, easy prep, no waste, and desserts sorted. Just hit the link in the description and don't forget to use NBF50 at the checkout. Satisfied by my speedy beef Rogan Josh, I settled in for the evening, hopeful of what the night might bring. All 3 rods are in, up against the bivvy, but the net is still dry. Spawning. Again, this isn't the first time they've gone on here, but I'm not surprised after the week of heat we've had. They don't all go at once, and sometimes they go multiple times, and they've started again this morning. The lake is just alive with spawning. I did have a bream, it's just gone midnight. Big old bream actually as well. But that's when the liners started. I thought, oh, here we go. And all the way through the night, they just kept going beep, 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 and it was enough to sort of get me out, wake me up. So I didn't sleep very well. And then just gone 4 this morning, another big liner, and then a big thrash. I was like, what on earth? Got out, and they started spawning right at my feet from here all the way down the bank. So my whole plan has gone out the window. Is what it is. This is nature at the end of the day, and if they want to get jiggy again, I'm not going to be one to stop them, and I'm certainly not going to be the one that fishes for them. So all the rods came in as soon as I saw that, and I did a lap of the lake, just getting some footage of them spawning in several different spots. It is a glorious morning here once again. The mozzies were out in force last night, but I managed to stay clear from them in the bivvy with the mozzie mesh down. But just a glorious sunrise on the levels, all the wildlife's waking up, the carp are having their fun, and time for me to have a bit of food, a bit of breakfast, pack down slowly, and make my way home. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Unfortunately, another Syndicate Diaries without a carp in it. I'm trying my best, believe me, but maybe I just need to dedicate a bit more time on here and wait until this weather dies off a little bit so the spawning doesn't throw a spanner in the works. But what are you thinking? The way I'm fishing on here at the moment, is there anything you change or do differently? To give you a bit more information, you walk around the lake, I'd say a good 75% plus of the swims have bait boats in, so I guess bait delivery is similar for most people. I don't know what bait everyone's using or rigs and things like that. I'm going to stick that to the same. I'm going to keep that the same what I'm doing, because that's what I'm confident in everywhere I go. But yeah, it's one of those. I think it's going back to the previous video when I did on here where I said that time is the biggest edge in carp fishing. I still do believe that. I had a lot of people disagree with me on that one. So if you haven't seen the previous Syndicate Diaries and want to get involved in that debate, do go back and watch that, because it was great to see some other answers, some really good important answers as well, things that again I think are up there. I still believe that time is the biggest edge, is something that a lot of things fall under. I had some people saying that experience and knowledge is more important than time, but I would argue that you only get those things if you have time. So yes, I'm sort of linking back to last one's video, but I thought I'd address some of the comments and tell you what I thought on some of them. My arm's getting achy. So go back and watch that one if you haven't done. Get involved in that debate. And on this one, as you know, it's all about taking care of yourself on the bank. And last night was not a very restful night, so I will take it steady today. My back's doing fine, so that's for good. And yeah, I've enjoyed myself. I always enjoy myself down here because it's, as I said, a slower pace. It's nice to recharge the batteries, have a bit of a break from the rush of the videos I normally make. And I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. So get involved in the comment section below. As I said yesterday, if you've got things that you think would help other people to know about, there goes the kingfisher. Just add that to the list of other wildlife animals I've seen today. If you've got things you think will help other people, or if you've got an issue that you're struggling with that hopefully someone else can answer and help you out, then please do that in the comment section below. But that is it from me today. Rods are all in, time to pack down, and have a slow-paced day. Oh, excuse me. And I'll see you in the next one.